Welcome back to the Grand Solar Minimum channel. Today is Friday, July 3rd, 2020. I want to thank everyone for joining us this afternoon as we give our latest update on Grand Solar Minimum news, if I can talk. Here we go. Solar wind speeds coming in at 299.5 kilometers per second with a density of 6.4. Taking a look at our sun, it is blank once again. That's 5 days in a row without sunspots, and 139 days for 2020 without sunspots. Now, there is some conflicting information, and I'll get to that here really quick. And it was brought up to one of our subscribers who had asked a question about this. So I'm going to go over that here just in a quick second. I'll finish up here with the TCI at 2.48. That's up from yesterday. KPN-to-C sitting at 1 with a 24-hour max of a 1. Also, coronal hole Earth facing. We could be looking at some seismic activity here in the next 24 to 48 hours. Again, the sun is quiet once again, though, folks, overall. Now, to the comment about sunspots and spotless days. And I thought it was interesting to see this, actually, because I do trust SPACEWEATHER.com. Dr. Tony Phillips has done a great job. This is the foundation of some of my research, was this webpage. And basically, pardon me, when it comes to reliable information about space weather, it's spaceweather.com. But there is another website, spaceweatherlive.com. And everything that I've ever seen on this website has been pretty accurate. In fact, sometimes I actually go back and forth and take a look and see what this site says as well, just to kind of confirm the information. And if you look here at spaceweatherlive.com, they have 18 days in a row without sunspots, 142 days. That's 77% of 2020. Now, a lot of this goes back to the sunspot that spaceweather.com mentions about 5 days ago. Very brief. It was on the western limb of our star, in the southwestern limb. It was turning away from Earth. Now, I don't think the people over at spaceweather.com are warming or cooling. They don't pick. They just simply report the information. Same with spaceweatherlive.com. I don't believe they have a preference of, is this going to be cooling or warming? They just report the stats. And I tell you, I do appreciate some things that I see here on the Space Weather Live stat sheet here, listing the last geomagnetic storm, which was on April 20th of 2020. So for 2020, we had a G1, the KP was at 5. Also list off the last M-class flare. Now, at the top, the last X flare, we haven't seen that since 2017, but same with the M-class flare. So are we going to have a possible X-class by December, January? Who knows? I don't know if it's that close. Just monitoring it from declining into the bottom of a minimum, and now we're going from the bottom to raising out of this minimum. But we're still at the bottom. As I reported yesterday, the solar activity from the sun is so low that we are picking up things in the magnetic field that we weren't able to pick up because of how much activity is happening from the sun. And I will say this, the solar wind speeds, I have observed 290 299, like here it is, kilometers per second. Now let's refresh it. It's probably back up a little bit. 306.5. But the point I'm trying to make is that I have witnessed and observed more solar wind readings in the 200s in the last month. So that's how I know, or that's where I'm kind of getting the feel of where we are in this bottoming out process of this minimum right now. And I think that we're in the bottom still, but with solar cycle 25 trying to come alive, as we see the last several weeks, we get bright active regions. And let's go over to our space weather section at grandsolarminimum.com. And we do have a couple of things to look at. Nothing major. A couple of active regions, though, in the southern part of our star. And if you look at the SDO, possibility, we talked about this spot as well. Still monitoring this. So again, we've been in a very, very quiet minimum, and we've seen where the star doesn't have much of anything going on for several days, several weeks. So this, even though these are not sunspots, we are starting to see a little bit more activity coming from our star, but yet we are still in pretty deep minimum conditions. Nothing at this point right now has me thinking that we are actually ascending into a maximum part of this cycle. No way that's happening anytime soon. Just like it stepped down, it's going to step up. That happens in phases. You okay over there? Checking on you. You okay? Sorry. Had to check on my wife there. I didn't want to, making sure she doesn't have the COVID. I said that, wonderful, beautiful wife. Okay, moving on. But I did want to address that. SpaceWeatherLive.com, very reliable information, but so is SpaceWeather.com. Now, I would rather go with the conservative, hey, let's call it by the book information, because, and this is why, they've changed the standards on how they count sunspots, and Lee told me this a long time ago. And I think the people that run this website, when they see sunspots like that get named, they're just like, come on. That wouldn't even counted back in the Maunder minimum. No one could see that sunspot. And they're right. They're right. But technology has changed, and we know the definition of a sunspot. So if we observe one, we have to report it, right? So I think it's valuable to go to both sites just to see how off or how different their information is. They're pretty accurate. They're both on the same page. I think the only thing that's in question right now is this spotless streak. Is it as long as 18 days, or does that sunspot that they named a few days ago, does that count? And again, I'm not saying that's what the folks at Space Weather Live are saying, that, oh, no one sees that. I'm just speculating. It's possible they could have that actual view about these tiny, small sunspots. And I know, and Lee will tell you too, he rolls his eyes every time they name a sunspot that's as small as the one that we just saw a few days ago. So I get both sides. Like I said, I'm going to stay on the conservative side of things just because, that alone, I still know that we're going to see a lot of spotless days here in 2020 still to come. All right, let's get to some headline news today. Jade mine landslide kills more than 170 people in Myanmar. This was on July 2nd. The Jade miners were smothered by a wave of mud which hit after heavy rainfall, said the fire department there, adding that 172 bodies had been retrieved as of Friday, July 3rd. 54 other miners who sustained injuries have been taken to the hospital. All of a sudden, huge amounts of mud together with rainwater ran into the pit. It was like a tsunami. Heavy rains continued all day, hampering rescue efforts. According to local officials, the death toll is expected to increase. Police said that the warning issued on Wednesday, July 1st, urging people to avoid working in the area due to bad weather. And you guys can check out the footage here on Watchers. Sometimes the videos, we can show them on our broadcast, and other times it seems like we get flagged, so we just don't show the videos just in case. It's not Watchers' fault. We're not blaming them, but people own the content, so they don't appreciate that. Forget about getting the news out or spread the message. Let's worry about, hey, you're not allowed to show that. That's mine. Anyway, a 38-year-old miner told Reuters he was going to take a photo of the waste mount that he felt was about to collapse when people started shouting and warning others to run. Within a minute, all the people at the bottom of the hill just disappeared. He said, I felt empty in my heart. He says he still has goosebumps. There were people stuck in the mud shouting for help, but no one could help them. Very unfortunate and sad and tragic situation here, guys. But I'm bringing this up because of this week we've been talking a lot about cosmic rays and why we've seen all the flooding. And so yesterday we talked about volcanoes, we talked about heavy rains, flooding. This is another effect from cosmic radiation, highly charged particles in the atmosphere. These heavy amounts of rains, we were talking about 9 inches of rain yesterday in parts of Wisconsin. Parts of Kentucky saw 6 inches of rain in just a few hours. My hometown saw 1.25 inches of rain in 18 minutes. So today we continue the theme here of cosmic radiation, low magnetosphere, allowing particles from space entering our atmosphere more than usual. If we had a solar max, we'd have a stronger magnetic field, which would protect Earth from any kind of particles from space. But right now, it's just, everybody, it's a free-for-all. And this is the kind of stuff, unfortunately, that happens on more of a frequent basis. And I haven't talked about global news in a while. I've been covering the States and Canada, so just kind of looking around. Watchers has quite a bit of stories today, but I wanted to pass along this story here. And then back to Canada real quick. River dam hits highest level, causing 1,000-year flooding in Manitoba, Canada. So yesterday, Saskatchewan, we were talking about with all the flooding. Now up to 38 homes and 83 people were evacuated in southern Manitoba on Wednesday night, July 1st, 2020, as Rivers Dam hit its highest level in a once-in-a-thousand-year event, said Infrastructure Minister Ron Schuler. The incident was unprecedented and unimaginable, according to rural municipality of Riverdale Mayor Todd Gill. In quotes, it says here, I don't think anybody could have conceivably anticipated this much water coming at us. And it came at us at an incredibly fast rate. And that's according to Schuler. The government no longer has confidence in the structure in the dam at Rivers, Manitoba. Engineers are on site to monitor the spillway for any signs of trouble, he added. The province also deployed 11 standard emergency response trailers, including water pumps and water tubes. The water flows from Lake Watapana and the Little Saskatchewan River at the dam are more than 340 cubic meters per second, which surpassed the 2011 flood levels. Once again, quoted saying this is a once-in-a-thousand-year event. And I know a lot of you who watch this channel for a long, long time have heard me say, how many times do we see that in these articles? Once in a lifetime, once in a 500-year flood, once in a 1,000-year flood. See a lot of once in a 100-year floods as well. So, again, it's not just regional right now. It's everywhere. More snow. Summer snow kills nearly 500 livestock animals, strands 400 tourists in Xinjiang, China. And this was on June 29th. So we had Ida snow on June 29th, and that was 6 inches of snow. Meanwhile, we had traffic disrupted, tourists stranded, 1 million yuan of cattle that had been destroyed by the snow. They had a blizzard in June, late June. 130 vehicles were left stranded, affecting 400 tourists. But the most important part is the livestock that was lost. During these solar minimum cycles, it has been noted throughout history, and you do your research, you look it up for yourself, and you'll see these solar minimums, low solar activity, seem to have something to do or a correlation with these once-in-a-thousand-year events. These freak summer blizzards, I mean, June 29th blizzard, killing livestock. Lots. Stranding lots of people. 130 vehicles. 400 people. In the middle of June. Late June, I'm sorry. Raoul Duke. I just saw that in the chat. Definitely a big fan of Hunter S. Thompson, my friend. Nice name. I like that. Anyway. So low solar activity causes these extremities. These bomb cyclones. Oh, yeah. Where is it? Here we go. Extratropical bomb cyclone lashes southern Brazil, leaving at least 10 people dead and 1 million people affected. These bomb cyclones, you've heard this term several times over the last 3 to 4 years. These bomb cyclones were pressure drops, 24 millibars within 24 hours. And a lot of times we're seeing storms that are doing it 2 times. Dorian was impressive. So these bomb cyclones, where do they get all this moisture from? We talked about it yesterday. Cosmic radiation, highly charged particles interacting with other particulates in the atmosphere and water vapor, creating water droplets. And these highly charged particles serve as like steroids for these water droplets to turn into big raindrops and drop heavy amounts of rain and snow in a short period of time. So South America, China, Canada, Myanmar, and India, all seeing extreme weather at the same time. In the same time frame between the 29th and the 1st of July. Here we have more than 1.4 million affected as the flood remains severe in Assam, India. And not only that, but they're dealing with a surge of coronavirus cases in India, where over 20,000 cases a day, and the death toll usually runs between 800 and 1,200 a day. India has been on a lockdown since March, folks. So imagine being in a shutdown and then dealing with this. Heavy rain, flooding, stranded, nowhere to go, no way to social distance, no masks, nothing. So the grand solar minimum presents many challenges. And we talk a lot about the weather and the seismic effects, and we try to keep you up to date on food as well. We have many farmer friends. Matt Bros, Nebraska. We got Jesse out there in Wisconsin, another farmer friend. I think Sam, I can't remember his last name, but Sam, he's also out in Nebraska as well. We have people like Richard, who has a ranch in New Mexico. just tons of people in this community that we know and we talk to about farming and stuff like that. So we try to cover that as well. But Grand Solar Minimum covers everything: climate, seismic, food, and pandemic. There's plagues and pandemic in almost every minimum, grand minimum at least. And Sasha Dobler wrote a book about it, about these pandemics, the Black Plague, when these things happen during grand solar minimums. So, and this is only the beginning, very beginning of this grand solar minimum. We haven't seen nothing yet, guys. And I'm not trying to like push the fear. We got time to prepare. We really do. A lot of folks thought that we were already plunged in a grand solar minimum and that we weren't going to have any solar activity for the next 10 to 20 years and this and that, blah, blah, blah. But the more research you do, the better understanding you have on even how solar cycles work during grand solar minimums. Yes, there are solar cycles during grand solar minimums. Absolutely. They are very weak and very below average solar cycles. Sometimes they can get really low. Like I think solar cycle 26 is going to be the peak as far as low activity. I share the view of Starman, David Birch, who does great research. His prediction of the sunspot smooth count in solar cycle 26 is 67. His prediction, I believe, for this current solar cycle, I think it's 87, but I can verify that right now as I sit here and broadcast to you folks. 86. I was off by 1. So 67, and his prediction after that for solar cycle 27 is around 80. And then by solar cycle 27, we start to see the uptick of the sun going back to active again, and possibly in the midst of another solar maximum, or a stronger one anyway, by solar cycles 28 and 29. A lot of us aren't going to be here for that. So what do we do now in the grand solar minimum? What do we do now? We learn and we lay the foundation of information. That way the future can learn from what happened in the past. And this is the best way to do it, documenting, creating websites, creating video. Hopefully this technology survives the time and people can go back and, well, this is what happened back in the last grand solar minimum. And we can only hope that these folks will learn from our mistakes and see what we went through. And this was not just a coincidence that this happens, these types of events happen during grand solar minimums. And we're not through it, guys. We're getting ready to get a little fool's gold break here for this week solar max that's coming up here in solar cycle 25. Not much action at all, guys. Almost half of the action that we had in solar cycle 24. So, all right, thank you, Geos85 paid subscriber. We appreciate it. You also have access to our call-in show, which we haven't done in a while, and it's been kind of annoying that we have mentioned it, but we do still have that. It's just finding the time. Unfortunately, Mari and I are redoing a house, and it is taking up a lot of our time, and we took an off day due to weather. That's why we are live today doing a little broadcast. But we want to try to bring as much information as we can. And here we feel like we are getting close to the point where we can start upping the shows a little bit. And hopefully within the next month or so, we will be back to doing 5 days a week and possibly weekend shows as well. So bear with us, folks. We appreciate the support and the loyalty from all of you. And welcome, Geo, to the Grand Solar Minimum family. All right, so before we take a look at our weather, yesterday was floods, and Mo floods. Today is lightning, and Mo lightning. 2,170 lightning strikes within 3 hours near West Little Rock, Arkansas. Thousands without power. Looking at a couple of the local meteorologists out there, and here is Todd Yacobian. Sorry about that, buddy. But look at the strikes, how many that were happening through the time lapse there. Intense lightning strikes, right? Intense. No reports of any deaths. Thankfully, power outages, of course. We were all safe here. Not so much here. Lightning strikes killed 31 in a day across Bihar and Uttar Pradesh in India. So 1.4 million affected by flooding, and then we have 31 people who were killed throughout India because of lightning. Sat, wow, the same exact lightning happened in Nepal. Exact same picture. It's crazy how they shot the... Oh, wait, it's stock footage. Sorry. Lightning strikes kills 4, injures 10 others in Nepal. So 2,000 lightning strikes here in the U.S., 31 people die from lightning strikes, and no one died in the 2,100 lightning strikes in the United States. So that means we had a whole lot more lightning in these other 2 regions to have killed anybody in the first place. And again, the correlation of bringing up lightning is, or the common denominator, I should say, is cosmic radiation. Cosmic rays, highly charged particles, supercharging the atmosphere. And when you see that bright purple in the sky at night, lightning, that's when you should know that your sky is fluxed with cosmic radiation, big time. And 2,100 lightning strikes within an hour. Or what was it, 3 hours? Not an hour. 3 hours. Lord. And we've seen a couple of those storms like that this year. Direcos that were just pummeling us with lightning hits. So, not uncommon during these grand solar minimums. What's going to happen when the magnetosphere strengthens? We won't see lightning storms like this as often, maybe if at all. In the beginning, we'll see a little bit. It takes a while for that abundance of highly charged particles to just dissipate and be used up. Right now, we are constantly showing you every day that we are near record levels of cosmic radiation in our atmosphere. Near record levels every day. Less than a 1.2% of the record almost on a daily basis. That's really high. That's a lot of cosmic radiation, guys. All right, let's check out some local weather. Again, thank you, Mike's weather page. I always want to give this guy a shout out. He does good work, very honest, and he's been accurate too. But if you guys want to find a weather map, more than likely you're going to find it here at Mike's weather page as well. We link it from our website. But this is the guy we're going to want to be paying attention to once we get closer to hurricane peak season. Right now, still pretty quiet. But the GFS is acting a little funny. I did want to point out real quick, check out the next 5 days of moisture across the south and southeast. Some parts could see up to 4 to 6 inches of rain in the next 5 days. So definitely in abundance. Let me zoom this in. I'll show you in the northeast since it cuts it off here. It does that. There you go. So heavier rain in the southern part of New York, near the capital region. And I'll tell you, we have seen our share of moisture for sure. As I said, we are taking a day for weather-related reasons. We've had several heavy showers move through since yesterday, really. And that was kind of the reason that inspired me to talk about flooding all day yesterday on the show, is that there's just so much of it everywhere you look. A lot of places here in the U.S. flooding as well. Interesting summer so far here in 2020. Let's hope the flooding can kind of just chill out for a little bit. But looking at this GFS outlook, not so sure. July 4th across the southeast, that's where we're going to see the most rain. Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina. You guys are all in the area to receive likely around 2 inches of rain this weekend. Same thing for the Panhandle. There's going to be heavier spots, though, once you get to the Panhandle of Florida and farther south. That's where you're going to see your possibility of 4 to 6 inches of rain. So not so good of a 4th of July forecast for you folks down in the south. And this lingers into Monday for the south as well. Look at that. Developing showers across the Tennessee and Ohio valleys, moving back into the northeast once again by Tuesday, July 7th, where pretty much 35% of the country will be inundated with rain showers during the daytime and afternoon hours. So we will be watching for flash flooding across parts of the Great Lakes and the northeast, east, and the south. And it does appear near Knoxville we will see heavy rain on Thursday in Tennessee before this rain front finally moves out of here Friday into Saturday. A very, very slow-moving system, folks. This other low-pressure system that's up in Canada, well up in Canada, will actually help push this thing out to sea by next Saturday. Heavy rain along the East Coast, up and down from Miami all the way up to Maine. We will see chances of rain up the coast next weekend. So very soggy start to July for the east, the south, and the northeast. And then you get into Sunday next weekend, once again, a repeat of downpouring, drenching rain here that will more than likely cause more flooding. And, you know, looking at this run here, we've got a couple systems that's racing through Wisconsin. They've already dealt in Baldwin with that 9 inches of rain in several hours. Tuesday, they've got more rain moving through. Starting Monday. So overnight Monday into Tuesday, rain. More rain again Wednesday. Not as heavy Wednesday. And Friday, more heavy showers moving through Wisconsin. 2 rounds by Sunday. And then another heavy round by that Monday, July 13th. So we are seeing lots of flooding in Wisconsin. And the reason why I'm pointing this out is this is part of my concern about crops in 2020. The plant happened way better than anybody expected. I mean, crops went in the ground at a reasonable time. We weren't up against late snows that were causing delays and heavy floods everywhere. But here lately, we're seeing a lot of farm communities being hit by flooding. And this rain and flooding is going to cause crop damage. So Wisconsin is already going to be on the radar. We're going to put them on alert here for the next couple of weeks. And let's hope this GFS forecast turns it around and brings in much drier forecasting. But, I mean, here we go. July 17th. More heavy rain heading to that region again. So July looks to be, and the good news is Sunday, which, again, July 19th, that's 16 days out. I'll give GFS some credit. They do have a reasonable, they're very conservative on their long-term outlooks. But hopefully, this high-pressure system that's showing up here in the Dakotas is an indication that it'll bring some drier weather for the second half, or at least for a few days in late July. Temperatures, not really much changing for us as far as temperatures go. It's going to stay pretty warm. Hopefully we can stop seeing summer snow in the northwest and Montana. And this map in motion kind of shows us that we are definitely in summer. A little bit of a cool down across the Ohio Valley in late July. But for the most part, we are locked into a very warm summer pattern. And also a very rainy and stormy pattern as well. So very active as far as weather headline news all over the world, not just here in the United States, but everywhere. Take a look at what we could be seeing for our La Nina watch. And right now, things are right on target for that. Waters are heating up a little bit in the Gulf, folks, and the Atlantic side too as well. So Florida Keys and southern Florida definitely is ready if anything should happen as far as storm conditions. That is the sweet spot right now for development and something to strengthen and survive. I want to show quickly. Right now we are just at baseline on the El Nino 3-4 region. So we are very, very neutral. You can't get any more neutral than where we are right now. But this is what we were told was going to happen this summer. Neutral to La Nina conditions. And topped on the fact that low solar activity, cooling atmosphere, continues to cool, record cold in the thermosphere. If we get La Nina as well, on top of all the cosmic radiation, causing cloud nucleation, blocking sunlight, creating cooler temperatures around the globe, volcanic eruptions, that if they continue to go above the 50,000 foot limit, they'll continue to affect regional climates. And who knows, we may see a big eruption between now and 2040 like John Casey predicted. So we're only getting started, folks. Sit back and get some popcorn because it's buckle up. We are in for a ride. And we are always going to be here to report on Grand Solar Minimum News. We hope you guys continue to join us when we go live. But as I said earlier, we really need to think about really looking at getting prepping your grow, your planning on how you're going to can, stuff like that, guys. Not only just for Grand Solar Minimum purposes, but food shortages from crop damage, or maybe supply limits because of this virus. What if it closes down economies again? We're already seeing shortages on certain items right now. I can't imagine if we went into another shutdown, how much time do we have before we really start having to relying on ourselves? So let's hope we can pull out of it really soon and just be ready, if anything. Don't be in fear, be ready for it. We got time, but that window is closing. Mari, did you want to say hello to anybody before we jump offline? It was good to see a few familiar faces out there, but...
Well, Jake, people can hear me. Yeah, welcome, Gio. Thank you for becoming our latest member on GSM. It's nice to be back. Jake, I appreciate your ambition with how tired we've been to hop online and do this stuff because I miss everyone. I miss the community in the chat. I was talking to people in the chat how I've been sort of staying away from social media because it's too much.
Yeah, there's a lot going on
It's
out there.
on both sides.
Yep.
It's like, oof, gosh, it gets sort of nasty. So it's sort of refreshing to step away from that toxic, like, stuff and get away from it all. It's been sort of nice. But on the other hand, we're on YouTube. We miss you guys, and it's really good to be back. You're going to be doing a show on WTF Sky soon, aren't you, Jake?
Maybe, yes.
You were going to do your, what was that, middleman politics?
Yes, possibly.
Possibly.
We'll see.
We'll have to see, huh, Jake? A lot of new faces in the chat. Have you seen that, Jake?
Yeah, I did. Good stuff.
So hello to all who are new to the chat.
Oh, Duke.
We've got a great group of people here.
I fear nothing.
I think I might have saw Matt pop in earlier.
Matt was in earlier.
Like, way earlier.
Yeah.
And Knife Collector and Pete. So, hello, everyone. It's good to see y'all in the chat. That's all I got, Jake.
All right, guys. Well, thank you once again for tuning in to the Grand Solar Minimum channel for the latest on Grand Solar Minimum news. We will try to come back live again this weekend and give you an update when fitting. If any breaking news, we will break through. Until then, guys, thanks for tuning in. We will talk soon. Take care.
Do you like this show? Give us a thumbs up. Want to support us more? Share to your
favorite social media platform, buy a t-shirt, or become a Patreon. All links are in the description below.